The Select Committee on China tackling some key concerns last night at a hearing on countering the Chinese Communist Party's economic aggression. The committee addressing CCP raids on Western consulting firms, legislation aimed at protecting U.S. farmland, the theft of U.S. military innovations, cyber espionage, and the importance of outcompeting China in emerging technologies. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt testifying that the CCP aims to achieve global dominance through technology supremacy.
This, in my view, is the defining competition of our time. This is my opinion. For the rest of our lives, we're going to be dealing with this. I want us to win.
You're out.
And joining us now is Congressman Mike Gallagher, chairman of the China Select Committee, and Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi. He is a lead Democrat on the committee. Welcome to you both. Hey, gentlemen, are you guys like finishing each other's sentences on this? Is this totally, there's no difference, I don't think, or there's not a lot of difference between the two sides of the aisle on what the problem is and how to deal with it. Is there, Congressman Gallagher?
Well, I think we have a shared sense of the threat and shared concerns about growing economic and technological aggression by the Chinese Communist Party. We had a robust debate last night about what the best way to combat that threat, but some things I think are obvious and are areas where we can have bipartisan cooperation. For example, fixing the de minimis loophole when it comes to compliance with the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act was something we heard about last night. I think there's a shared sense that we don't want to be in the business of funding our own destruction, and that there need to be some guardrails on outbound capital flows to China, particularly for companies like Baidu that are trying to beat America in this AI race, which has profound implications, as you heard from former Google CEO Eric Schmidt.
Congressman Krishnamoorthi, we like competition everywhere, but it would be nice if one or the other sides didn't cheat, didn't steal secrets, didn't have a whole cottage industry based on using technology that's ill-gotten. And I think, how do we do that? How do we make sure that's not happening? And we've been kind of gullible because I don't know, I guess we thought if we engaged with China for the last 10, 15 years, that eventually they'd be more like us. That in terms of, capitalism versus communism. That might have happened with capitalism, but not human rights.
That's right. I think that we have to do a few things. I think that first, with regard to people or entities or companies that are helping with the Chinese Communist Party's, for instance, genocide of the Uyghur people or engaging in forced labor, we've got to call them out, sanction them. We've got to do what it takes to both deter and punish those who would aid and abet these horrible practices. Secondly, I think that we have to do what the Biden administration has done, for instance, with regard to high-end semiconductors and semiconductor chips, which are used by the CCP to, essentially help to propel the People's Liberation Army's efforts with regard to their aggression against the U.S. Now, the good thing about that is that we work with our partners and allies and friends around the world to help to deny some of these high-end chips to the Chinese, and we're going to require that type of cooperation going forward. But I just like to turn to one thing, which is, in addition to doing this, we also spent a lot of time last night talking about upping our own game in the U.S. with regard to our own competitiveness. That means helping to upgrade the skills of our workforce and attracting the best and brightest talent from around the world to help us to outcompete the CCP.